Hi,
for
everybody. I'm super excited. I serve 30 districts here on the West Coast United States. I'm based in Arizona, so I'm pretty much local time. I'm available. I work with district level stuff and then also available for any sort of strategy sessions. Just if you and your club, your president and membership chair want to get together and chat, I'm also available for that too. I'll put the little link to schedule a meeting with me in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Angela is just not only a great resource, but she's so energetic and so easy to work with that I just love her. Kim, you've got your hand up, and other people put your hands up, please, like Angela, everybody else that are the facilitators from your groups. Just no, the little reaction hand. Go down to the reactions, the more and the reactions, put your hand up. Kim.
I was muted, sorry. So we were very fortunate to have Redmond in our group. We all know what a great club Redmond's become. And so I'm going to throw some of those things out there because I think the other group of us are all dealing with a lot of attrition and battling that battle. And they're just talking about one that I loved, and that is two things. One, club members have to buy in to whatever we decide. And also that, you have to create that high energy at the beginning of your meeting. So when you're bringing people in, they see that, they feel that. They don't see people sitting at the table talking to their own little niche, They do things to help to move people around where they sit. And then their involvement in the community is just huge. They advertise, they invite, they thank, they show up at, ribbon cuttings and Chamber of Commerce. So, I mean, there was just, to me, just a lot of great things that came out of that comes out of that club. And I'm taking some notes too. So that's me.
Thank you. Let's see. Angela, you'll unmute yourself.
Sure will. Okay, so what we talked about, the first important thing is just to ask people to join. I know for myself, when people say, why did you join Rotary? It's because somebody asked me. But then the other thing we talked about is we all do service projects and we're always out there in the community, and inviting your friends and different people to come join in on those service projects to get them engaged, because coming to a meeting is coming to a meeting. If you don't know anybody, it may not be the most engaging time to bring them in, but at a service project where we're all equal, and then ask them to join. So we talked about that. There was something else. Yeah, ask, be a part of success. So being professional. And then I think also Chris had a great idea, and somebody just mentioned it, was joining the greeters, because those are other professionals that might be interested in us. And that's kind of what we talked about.
Thank you. Claudette.
Thank you. We talked about the importance of creating a membership culture, which involves educating the membership about the fact that we have a problem, and then preparing the members of the club to be ready to invite and promote the thriving membership of the new members. And part of that is asking the members why they join Rotary, why they stay in Rotary, so they will renew their enthusiasm for Rotary and share that with people who are visiting. We are going to strengthen the connection between the members, and by following up with those that don't attend, which sounds like an engagement issue, but it's really an attraction issue, because you've got to be ready to take in new members. And similarly, you have to create the opportunity for new members to make a connection. So don't just bring them in and let them sit. And finally, very important, the meetings themselves need to be attractive. They need to add value. You have to have someone, if they have a decision about how they're going to spend their time, they're going to need to want to come to Rotary. So you need to, as a club, create that environment.
Thank you. Good points. Janet from Rotary Club of, I can't read the rest of it.
Ashland.
Okay, thank you.
Similar to other groups, some things that were successful for our breakout team was to bring a friend, introduce somebody that you think would be interested in Rotary and what Rotary has to offer. Attract people by having interesting programs and events. and involve people that aren't members in projects so they can see the impact of Rotary firsthand. And also plan some activities for younger people and their families.
Good point. Do you hear a theme going on here? Like ask, be out
Yeah.
there. It's not rocket science, but we just have to keep doing it. It is best practice. Jaya, you're from the Monroe Club.
That's correct. My name is Jaya,
Jaya.
and I use she, her pronouns. And I was with a small group, and there was a consistent question about how much are the dues, and we had a very broad range. It was like $340 difference in, or $440 difference in how much our dues are annually for the different members. So I think we're going to go back and think about how much our dues are, and then when we set those dues, reminding people that those go to Rotary International, as well as, you know, what are those costs of being a member. And then, you know, when you talk about that, is bringing, for me, I went to my first event with Rotarians, the Grant Quarterly, and I just felt like then I understood, like, how does money mean something within Rotary? So, and then as far as how do we attract and retain, I think more active than simply hosting at a restaurant, but coming up with strategies to engage those members as they're enjoying the fellowship.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Mike, we have all of 30
minute left,
seconds.
Chris.
Excuse me, am I done?
We've got about 1 minute left, Chris, if you want to.
Okay, Mike and Pamela both have their hands up. I'm wondering if you can share that time. Mike, you want to go first?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yep, you got 30 seconds.
I got 30 seconds. Well, a couple of things that I would put in real quick is your target market. What kind of club are you? We saw that in the first part of the item. And so if you're a fundraiser club, then you need to target people who have money, people who are of means, and that's the kind of thing. If you're a worker club and you're hands-on, you need to target those people. Again, I love the point that ask. It's been my point for a long, long time. But it's not just ask people to join you or ask people to come visit you. It's personally ask your members to participate in being part of it, to bring those new people in.
Thank you. And Pamela.
Yes, I think the most important is to engage your community, going out to your businesses and asking them to join as a corporate. That way you're not obligating each and every person in that company to belong as a full member. You have one full member, 2 associates, and you can balance the attendance out between these people. And it has really worked for our club. We have a number of businesses that belong. One person actually is the member, and then we have 2 associates that can balance that out as far as attendance is concerned. And we get tremendous support from those companies.
Great. Awesome ideas. And you know what? You can look each other up in DACDB and find out more about these ideas that you were tickled with. Because in a 2-hour session that covers a gazillion things, we don't have time to go into lots of details. Okay. So Bruce, do you want me to go into the second session then?
Okay, well, thank you all for all of these great ideas. I really wish we had more time to talk because, but we do want to get through this material, and we will spend some good time with some good ideas on engagement in the latter portion after we do the breakout session on onboarding. So anything that has to do with engagement, hold it for the breakout session, and let's go right into Chris Waugh and her portion of this.
Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, then I'm so far I pushed that right button.
There
We're
we
going
go.
to be talking about onboarding. And onboarding is something that if you're in business and you have employees, you need to onboard them to get them into your organization. It's especially important in Rotary, because we don't pay these people. They're all volunteers, right? So it's a matter of getting members versus keeping those members. And if you have a good onboarding process, it makes it a lot easier to keep those members, which would reduce that attrition rate, the old revolving door where they're going out the back door. So there's 3 phases of the onboarding process. You have your value alignment. Are they looking for what you have to offer, and do you need what they have to offer? That's the first part. We'll go into that. The second part is the induction, how you bring them into the club and celebrate that. And then the third part is the onboarding process. So you want them to be interested and then inducted. And finally, you want them to be engaged. So the value alignment interview is something that you can do like they do in chambers of commerce. They do this a lot. They have a one-to-one. They say, hey, you want to meet for coffee? Let's go out to lunch. I would like to get to know you. And then you can talk about Rotary, because everybody that comes to your club might be looking for something a little bit different. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all onboarding process. There are questions that you want to know from this person, your prospective applicant, before they decide to join and before you decide it's a good fit too. So here's some sample questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Act like you're interested in them beyond Rotary. And sometimes we get so focused on, well, here's all about Rotary. Here's what you need to know about membership. Here's how much our dues are, and you got to be there every meeting and blah, blah, blah. And, tell me a little bit about you. What do you do personally? What do you do professionally? How did you find us at Rotary? And what sounds appealing about it? They might not know much, but they must show an interest for a reason. Then what are your expectations? If you join a Rotary Club, what do you expect out of it?
You're cutting out a bit,
They
Chris.
say to ask what else. Oh, they say what else and what else. In other words, when you ask for the first expectation, am I doing okay now? I just tried slowing down. I have an unstable computer. Actually, it's me that's unstable. But when you say what else, you can dig deeper. And when you say what else again, more things will come out. So you might not get their expectations at first. Then if we ended up deciding this was a good fit, 1 year from now, what do you think your experience would be? What would you expect by a year down the road? That's an interesting question. Do you think they expect just to have lunch with some friends? Do they expect to go make a difference in the world? Do they want to get involved in the environment? Maybe they want to get involved in youth services. What do they expect? How do you think that you, new member, might contribute to our club success? What skills do you bring that we might be able to benefit by this matchup? And then managing expectations is always important. Yes, you have to talk about what is it that they really want. There is some money involved. Your dues need to be explained. We've cut our dues down by monthly payments, which seems to make it a lot more palatable for our potential members. They can't afford $140 every 6 months, but $24 a month is okay. And we can make it an automatic deduction. How much time are we expecting from them? Do they have to go to every single meeting? Are they expected to go to all of the fundraisers and projects? And what kind of talent do they need to bring? And then if not us, who? It might be that our club meeting doesn't suit their schedule. There might be another club in your area that you can refer them to. So those are all questions that you just get to know them in this value alignment interview that makes them feel like, one, you really care, and two, you're prepared to meet their expectations as well as the other way around. Now, there wasn't much, there's not a slide in this presentation for the induction ceremony. So let me talk about that for a second. I'm gonna go back here. There's no slide for induction, but every club has an induction ceremony. I encourage you to look at yours. How do you induct people? What do you say? Is the terminology and is the wording current? There was a club that I had been involved in, and they had such archaic sounding ritualistic language that it didn't really resonate with the new potential members. So you want the language to feel encouraging and engaging and exciting. You might encourage them to bring friends, family, coworkers to this so that make it a big deal. Make it a celebration that this is a fit. We're excited to have you. You're excited to be here with us. That's what you want your induction process to be. The onboarding process. Why do we do onboarding? There's two things that make a big difference in what they call the stickiness factor. Now, the stickiness factor is getting people to not leave, getting them to stay. You want them to feel like there's a value to being in your club, and you want them to feel like they have friends in your club. And studies show, the Gallup polls show that when they surveyed employees, that if employees felt those two things, they were more happy at work. I believe that's probably the same thing at Rotary. If they feel a value and they feel like they have friends, then they're going to be sticky, and you got them stuck with you. So how do you accelerate that? First of all, what's the difference between orientation and onboarding? A lot of clubs say, well, we already do an orientation. Yeah, we have this event. It might be called the ABCs of Rotary or the 1, 2, 3s in Rotary, and it's a classroom style thing. Or maybe it's even a fireside. We have a little wine and sit around a fire in comfy chairs, and we tell them all about Rotary. We feed them through the fire hose, all this stuff about Rotary. And they retain about 2% of it. And later on, they're like, huh, what was that? I mean, I enjoyed the wine, but that's great. Onboarding is different. Onboarding is not a one-time event. It is a process. It goes on and on. There's a role in the club. You have on-the-job experience that you roll out over time, and it's specific to the member, and it prepares them to be ready to contribute. Now, here's some ideas for onboarding. Here's some ways that you can just kind of get them excited. Now, don't do this all at once, okay? Because don't do the fire hose technique. It just doesn't work. You want to tell them about Rotary. There's a good video on Rotary International that says, welcome to Rotary. And it's just an overview, very short. Maybe send them that video link. There's also DACDB. Now, how many people use DACDB? Not that many, because they got trained about DACDB along with the fire hose of everything else that they learned about. But DACDB is a great resource for them. They can look up their friends. They can find out when other clubs meet. So that's another way of onboarding them. Telling them what committees you need help with. You know, we have some openings in our membership committee, and if you like people and socializing and networking, you might be a good fit for this committee. The Rotary Learning Center, as Bruce mentioned earlier, has all manner of learning programs. Some are as short as 15 minutes. You can go in and zone down on a specific membership, leadership, or Rotary topic that you're interested in and build your knowledge. Rotary District and the Rotary International and your Rotary Club all have websites. Encourage them to go check those out. And then finally, social media. Encourage them to get on the social media, maybe your Facebook page, Instagram, whatever you have, and like it so that they find out what's going on in your club and in the district. So now they recommend these drip events, and I think these are kind of cool. You can use DACDB, or you can just do it yourself. But let's say you got this new member coming on, and you have your value alignment interview, and then after your process of the board approval, whatever, you have the induction. Then 7 days after they're technically a member, you send them the welcome video. This, like I said, could be done through DACDB, where you have a template where greetings, and then insert new member's name. Here, we're glad you're a Rotarian. Check out this video, and you put a link, and that's all you do. It's just a touch point. 2 weeks into it, you introduce them to the social media accounts, and you have a link for those. And so they can check those out. But see how this isn't like a fire hose? It's every week, one little thing. The next 3 weeks, you have the Rotary Basics learning courses, and you let them know about the things that are in the My Rotary account, what's available there. Next, 4 weeks later, you have your mentor check-in. If you have a mentor, and a mentor in a club could be a formal mentor, it could be the sponsor, it could be the membership chair, or it could just be somebody that was assigned to guide this person. 6 weeks into their membership, you can send them an email regarding new jobs that are available, and here's how you can get involved. And then 3 months into it, you can have another mentor check-in. So you just touch them all the time. 4 months, there's learning courses that are there. And if they're basically interested in grants, then you can guide them to the grant page of the learning courses. 6 months, this is kind of a fun idea. What if we had a new membership dinner and people could just socialize and get to know each other, and or just a new member social, have a glass of wine, meet at a pub, unless you're a club like mine that meets at pubs every time. 8 months, have another mentor check-in, and another fun idea is a 12-month anniversary. Now, some of you, I can read your minds. You're going, yeah, right. Like, I got time to deal with all that. Well, let's say you didn't want to do the animated part of it, but you just did the check-ins. You induct them. In a month, you check in. In 3 months, you check in. In 6 months, you maybe have dinner or check in. You're just touching them and maybe going out to lunch with them, and being that friend that people are looking for. Orientation is part of the onboarding process. It's just not all of it. You need to discover their needs. You're going to want to get them plugged in, connected. Oh, you're interested in grants? Here's our grant chairperson. Make that connection, mentor them, and make sure that they have a friend in your club, or more than one. There are some tools that are available. Rotary International has an introduction to new members. It's an orientation guide. There's a booklet you can get that I use. It costs $2 on Russell Hampton, and we buy them by the 24s or whatever. But it gives people a nice big overview of Rotary, what Rotary does. It doesn't tell them specifics about your club, though. And then there's Connect for Good, which is a marketing piece that helps keep you present out in the community. So let's have some breakouts, and Bruce is going to help me with this. I want you to share ideas for onboarding. What was your personal
Looks like it hit a button and it closed them, and I'm going to have to start them all back up again. We'll get there. Hi, Jennifer.
Was your intent to not send us quite so quick?
Yeah, our intent is to restart this here in a minute. It looks like
Perfect.
it just popped it. We're gonna go back in again. Sorry for the disruption.
Yeah, I figured.
You know, the theory is when you're new, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes, and I'm prepared to make pretty much every one of them. Anyway, we'll as soon as we're gonna bring everyone back in, and then we're gonna put them all back into the rooms again.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody,
Whoops,
for
our
the
room was
confusion.
set up for only a minute and we didn't get the instructions, so.
Yeah, we're gonna
Wow,
blame this
that
on
was quick.
we're gonna blame this on fat thumbs, and let's do it. Let's do it all over again. Okay, here we go. You're muted. Oh, there you are, Jim. Wendy, did you not get to be in a room? You're on mute, Wendy.
Did we even get instructions on what we're supposed to do?
Well, you know, what we're supposed to be talking about is coming up with onboarding. What we're going to be talking about is, and poor Jim's going to get sucked into this because he made the mistake of staying out of a breakout room. And he doesn't, I apologize for that. What we're going to talk about, Wendy, is when during the onboarding process, we are looking for people to exchange ideas of what works in their clubs, positive things,
Okay.
and what we can do to incorporate, or maybe what you'd like to do to incorporate them.
Okay.
So that is here. Let me get a time real quick. That is the nature of this breakout room. So
Perfect.
what are you doing in your club that you like?
We are really focusing on our networking groups. So I'm in BNI, other people are in, and also chamber. So really we're focusing on people that we're already networking with and talking to them about Rotary. A lot of people don't even know what it is. So I think just having that familiarity with it. I'm also reaching out to the president of the 2030 Club in our area to see if we can collaborate on some projects. I think people who are in the service mindset and who are already doing it, I'll be very interested in knowing more about Rotary when they age out of 2030. So when they become 40, they know where they can go to continue with their service.
Sure.
So that's my main goal, is to try to bridge, make that connection between other groups that are doing similar things and Rotary.
How long have you been in the Southtown group, Wendy?
About 7 months.
Okay. So when you were onboarded, what would you have liked to have seen? I mean, I loved, most of us have been Rotarians for a long time, so we kind of forget that what it was like when we first became on. What were your experiences? What were some of those positiveness, and what would you like to have seen back then, what you know now? What would you have liked to have known then?
Well, what I really liked is how casual it was. I mean, it was really, a friend of mine said, "Hey, you want to come check out this group?" And I was, it sounded really nice. It was at a good time because in the early evenings, I'm less busy than in the middle of the day. So the time was really good. And I just, I saw it as an opportunity to, get to know people and find a way that I could help out. We want to focus more on service than just fundraising right now. I guess it's in the name, it's a service network. So yeah, for me, the most appealing thing was about how casual it was and welcoming. It wasn't a formal sort of ceremonial type thing. And so that's kind of the angle I like to have when I'm thinking about inviting more people and having them come check it out.
Okay. Where Dave, are you online? You're on mute, but Dave, you've got some fantastic programs going down there in Port Orford. Have you got anything to contribute, or it may just be you and I, Wendy?
And Jim, he's hanging out over there.
Well, Jim has got.
We work at it all the time. I meet a lot of people in construction, and they're doing new homes. They're doing improvements to the community. They value, they generally have some excess money, and they want to get connected to the community. So it's a natural.
So when you're onboarding, what do you think? What are some of the practices that your club does on onboarding? Do they?
Well, Mike Hewitt does a wonderful job of community improvements and community projects. So we are sure that all of our new members are invited to a work party to build an ADA ramp or whatever the project might be. And so literally this is the town that Rotary built, and you can drive throughout the town and see signs of that. So it's just a very active, vibrant, hands-on group, and people want to be part of success, and so we try to be successful. We've had a good succession of great presidents and some longtime chairs of things, doing projects throughout the community, and we just keep on keeping on.
Well, that is, that is just the, what's the word I'm looking for? Just, that is the fabric of Rotary, is building, working in our community. I found that putting people in, not so much work parties, maybe I don't like that term, but doing community service together, builds fellowship. I mean, when you are working on cleaning a path or using a broom or a shovel or just working outside, it is amazing the bonds that you create outside of work. I remember
we're having fun helping others.
Exactly. It is just the distilling Rotary down to a nutshell. It's just having fun and helping others, service above self. But, right now, this breakout session is kind of about onboarding. We're going to talk about engagement. We've got some great material on that. And I'm actually eager to get to it. And since somebody gave me the power of breakout sessions, which they shouldn't have, because I don't know how to use it well. It's kind of like Harry Potter with a wand. He's just pointing it all over the place. The long and the short of it, though, is onboarding is, how do you create that new person coming into your club and giving them, and Wendy mentioned it quickly about being casual and how she enjoyed the casualness of her club. Same thing with getting him, I like when you're in a group of strangers, having something to talk with about is part of that friendship building, and community service is fantastic. My own personal experience is when I came in the second time as an AG, I am an AG in Benton County. You could tell which clubs were very welcoming and which clubs weren't. Some clubs were just, hey, who are you? How are you doing? When you on board, it's very important to keep a contact with those new people to make them feel wanted, and a feeling of belonging. We touched on that a little bit in the last breakout session. It was that feeling of belonging in the club, instead of just sitting there going, well, why am I here? And when you have intentional leadership, you have somebody physically or mentally, I guess, thinking about these things and going, hey, we got to make sure that we've got somebody, mentoring with this person, or we're including them in our activities. A lot of clubs, they kind of get wrapped up in what they're doing and they forget about that. Hey, Jerry, how are you today? It looks like you jumped into a breakout session with Dave and Wendy. Have you got something to add for us? How's your onboarding process doing in your club? I don't show you on mute, so.
Sorry.
No problem.
Was that question directed at me?
Yep. We are in a breakout session right now about onboarding.
Right. Yeah, we have been doing fine. We've added 3 or 4 new members since I started my presidency. And our club's is big and been around for a long time, so I'm really pretty comfortable with our onboarding process.
Okay. What do you? I mean, are you doing a fireside chat? What are you doing?
Well, we have a group for new members. We have a group It's called Emerging Rotarians, which is basically newer members that want to have a cohort to talk through what their hopes and aspirations are for being Rotarian. And we have a couple of mentors that have been longtime members of the club that are part of that group. And their mentors are in our membership committee. And so they walk through the process of how to get involved, what we encourage everybody to join a committee as soon as they become a full-fledged member. We have a fireside chat with one particular past president. He's been doing it for years, to just talk them through as soon as they're vetted and ready to be accepted, talk them through the process and what's expected of them and what they'll hear. I think one of the big things with our emerging Rotarian group is that it involves many of those members are younger folks, and they kind of get, one of the things that's come up repeatedly is they get sort of exhausted by how many times they get asked for money in Rotary. And it was eye-opening to me as president. I was going, what? We don't ask you for any money. And they said, well, we're constantly getting asked about contributing to the Rotary Foundation, to Polio Plus. You ask us to do Happy Dollars. I said, it never occurred to me that they think that those things are required. So I think that's one of our focuses these days in actually trying to recruit new and younger members, is to make sure that they understand that, these things are part of Rotary, but if you're not financially able to do that now, we're not taking names, we're not counting.
Yeah.
We want you to be.
But you're right. There is that kind of overshadow of the expectation that I'm joining Rotary, and financially we're trying to fix this thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't want people to think that they can only join Rotary if they have lots of money to give away.
Yeah, that is a misconception. But okay, well, I'm going to close the rooms, and so we're going to start getting everyone back here in about 60 seconds. And then we will follow into our engagement program, which I'm actually very excited. We're going to do a quick 10 minutes of follow-up, and with the rest of the group. And then, like I said, I have the power of the breakout sessions, so I can kill them when I want to. So I have, it's kind of like Harry Potter with the wand I used earlier. It's like, I may not deserve that much power, but I'm going to wield it until someone takes it away from me. Anyway, thank you guys for your input. Thank you very much.
Sure. I apologize for being
very
late.
soon.
There we are. We're starting to see them back. Starting to miss you guys. Glad you came back. Okay. Did you guys have some great conversations? As soon as we get everybody back in the room, we'll see if we can start a little bit of a conversation on onboarding, and then get to something that I am near and dear to my heart.
Do you want me to keep going, Bruce, and close this session out?
Yeah, it's your session.
Okay.
I mean, Wendy and I and David and Jerry had a great conversation. So I will probably sit in the back and let people talk. You have exactly 10 minutes. At 10:30, or 8 minutes. At 10:30, we're gonna try to get into that third program. So
okay,
let's do something good and dangerous.
I see Michael Hansen from Ashland's got his hand up. What you guys talk about?
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm not muted. So we had a great conversation, both about orientation and the importance of making sure that we not just have some kind of ceremonial thing, but we actually reach out personally, either as a group with new members, if we have a group that have not been properly welcomed, or individually, and maybe even both. Just not only to welcome them and to get them engaged, but also as a retention tool. We know and recognize that early engagement and early support is directly proportional to retention, and that's really, really important.
Thank you.
And also staying positive and not making people feel like it's anything other than a really positive experience. So that's what we talked about. Thank you.
Good job. Ed, what'd you guys talk about? Ed's from the Albany Club.
There we go. I'm unmuted now. Yeah, we were really fortunate to have Marvin from the Redmond Club in our room again. And I guess we started out, each of us kind of sharing the things that work and don't work, some that have already been discussed. But I think what we really took away from our breakout room, I'm just going to summarize this in 30 seconds, based on Marvin's sharing with us, is that this really has to be intentional. The whole process has to be purposeful, intentional. It has to be shared with your prospects so they know what to expect. But you also have to make sure you engage your entire membership in that process. Marvin shared some things with us that they do differently than I think I've heard done by most other clubs in the district. We'll let Marvin share those with you if you're interested in what Redmond is doing these days. But our takeaway is, if it's not intentional, it's probably not going to work. And that means that there's an aspect of consistency that has to be applied to your efforts as well. So hopefully that's helpful.
Very good. Just to give Marvin another plug, he was the featured speaker at one of our district membership forums. So if you look up on YouTube, District 5110 Membership Forum, there's a channel. It'll have all of the past district membership forums on it, one of which is Marvin sharing all of his ideas. So that's one that's highly recommended, because everybody keeps talking about Marvin this and Marvin that. Marvin's marvelous, and he is. They've been very successful. His attraction rate is above his attrition rate, and that's something we can all aspire to. Angela, you got your hand up, but you're muted.
Okay, so my biggest takeaway is it's great to make these great grandiose plans, but you have to make something that's realistic for your club. One of the members talked about doing 11 months worth of customized letters and how overwhelming that got. So it sounds nice, but that's a lot of work. We also talked about having a mentorship committee and how important it is that if there's 5 mentors, those 5 mentors need to be connected with somebody, because otherwise you have a lot of people responsible, but nobody responsible for one thing in particular. Also, just having regular points of contact, which we already talked about. And then also to customize that for each member, figure out why are they joining Rotary. I love the idea that we talked about earlier about inviting them out to coffee and finding out specifically why they're joining, because that will help you figure out how to engage with that person and invite them into the club.
Good points. Thank you. And Jim, if you'll unmute, have your hand up.
Yes, well, we talked about a lot of the same sort of things, but one item that came up, and I asked the group if they still do this, we put together a roster for the club. I don't know if you can see this. It's a book of all of the members. It has their picture, contact information, and we update it on a regular basis. But when we have a new member come in, we ask them to contact no less than 10 of the members, go to their place of business, sit down with them for half an hour, maybe if it's that long, and just discuss Rotary. And it kind of is, it's a good way of getting them to know a lot of the current members. We have not a lot of detail. We have obviously their business name and phone numbers. We have the cell phone and the business phone, so they can contact them multiple different ways. Anyway, that's something that we do. I don't know if everybody does that.
I can piggyback off that when I was in the Newport Club, and I don't know if you guys still do this, Sonia and Mark that's here, They used to give out a roster like that, and every club member had to find that new member and sign that roster. So it put the onus on the club members to go over and make that introduction, which is just kind of the backwards way from what you just said. But having a system where you can get those, new member, existing members together is a great idea. But that just made me think of that, and I don't know that they still do that, but
I kind of like the backwards way then, if that's something that I'm going to talk to our membership group and find out if they like that idea too.
Well, it's important as a leader that you switch things up, because you don't want them to get stale or, too routine, and it takes the excitement out of it. You want it to be standardized, but you want it to be exciting. Carol's from Cottage Grove Club.
Hi, we had a couple of thoughts, and the whole mentoring and engaging a new member it's hard, and it's hard to get people to stay in a mentoring frame of mind. But one of our people, Sharon, I'm going to let everybody know that you came up with this idea. We are going to ask Angela if she will go back and find out whether or not RI could do some like audio books on Rotary that people can, she's talking about going out and cleaning out the stable, or if you're driving or anything like that, you can engage in your learning through an audiobook on Rotary. And a lot of times people, if there's a video, there's things on the screen that are not being verbalized. And so it's really difficult to get all the information just by watching a video if you don't have time, if you've got a lot of stuff to do.
Okay, I think we're about out of time. District 5110 does have a podcast. So that might be something that's interesting. I know.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I see Bruce Reese had his hand. Oops, now it went down. So I guess I better turn it back over to Bruce, because I don't want to go late.
No sound.
Bruce, you're muted.
Go back.
Bruce, we can't hear you. Bruce, you're still muted.
Who's the host? Can you unmute him for him?
There we go. How's that? Boy, it's amazing the new buttons that you have out here. Let's go back to screen share. Boom. Okay. Like I said, allow me to get back to where I was on my screen. That was some great comments about coming from the group. Thank you very much. I like that idea about the video or the audio tapes. We may have to have some discussion on that. So now we've talked about attrition. We've talked about engaging new members. We talked about onboarding. Let's talk about engaging our existing members, and hopefully this is one of my favorite parts of this. So I think hopefully you'll like it. Let's start with best practices. In 2022, there was a survey of 85 clubs. These 85 clubs have shown consistent growth in the last 5 years. So they had a survey of what were they doing that made them so successful. So what they found, the first thing is it's not the size of your club that matters, it's your leadership. The intentionality of the club is what creates the growth. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how we can keep that going in our clubs. The size of the clubs that they actually surveyed was obviously, as the graph says, 39% of it were clubs of 7 to 25 members, 43% were 26 to 50 members, and 18% of 51 members or more. What they found was they all had active intentional membership engagement. Every one of them had an active membership committee. They had dynamic, meaningful service. They actually thought about what they were doing, and they had a pretty good focus on making that work. They had effective governance, intentional leadership. Their presidents, their board, they were very engaged in their shared values of their club. They had a strong public image. They were well known in the community. What they did was something that people knew Rotarians in their community were doing. They embraced diversity, equity, and inclusion. And by taking those, they were able to grow their clubs at a time when, during the pandemic, that was very hard for the rest of us. So some of the things they did with the diversity and equality and inclusion was, first of all, they had great meetings. They had great meetings, and they created strong friendships. They made it a point to look at their programs. They made it a point to engage their members by just saying hello. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here in a second. They had consistent and flexible meetings. We all know that sometimes that noon window sometimes is hard. And some of the clubs, the morning and the evening clubs, it's just being flexible in their meetings, engaging new members. New members are almost celebratory and celebrationable, that word. The point, though, is we should celebrate having new members and make them feel important. And saying thank you. We can never say thank you enough in everything we do. And we're going to talk a little bit real quickly about how we say thank you in more ways than just physically saying thank you. So of these clubs, 76% of them met in person. Now, everybody didn't go every single week, but they were meeting in person. 65% were using hybrid or virtual options. For those of you that are still doing that, congratulations. These are just ways that they are looking at keeping their members engaged. Satellite clubs are something that we should have some great discussion about because there are some opportunities that may help us. 70% of them had defined a new member orientation process. That onboarding process is something that is extremely important, can't overstate it. Excuse me. I have seen a couple of PowerPoint presentations. I have some examples. New member orientation is not a one-size-fits-all. It's designed around your club. So as your club designs their new member orientation, it is a personal message to new people. 77% take time to let the members know the club's accomplishment. Let them know what they're doing, what they've joined, what are they a part of. And 70% formally recognize members' times and talent contributions. We have to stop and say thank you and think about what our club members are already doing and the commitment they're making. Because sometimes we get beat up. We put in a lot of hours. Life happens in the way. And so sometimes it's nice to be recognized for what we're doing. There we go. We're talking about 35% of them had an internal engagement specialist. Wow, that's huge. What is an internal engagement specialist? Well, that might be somebody in your membership committee that is just, their part of their description is to engage, reaching out to people that may not be part of the club or have not been hitting those meetings. And just, it's literally what it is. It's engaging your existing members, finding out how they're doing and who they are, and just making them important. They have varied membership levels. They build an internal community. That's a little hard one. They're creating member personas. What those mean is your members, let's celebrate their success. There was a comment about soccer one time was only a 3-month sport. Now it's year long. So when some member comes up, they may be very proud that maybe somebody in their family is part of sports, they're part of something outside of Rotary. And we have to learn that if it's important to them, it's important to us. Engaging skills. Just because you're an accountant doesn't mean you automatically have to be the club treasurer. Maybe they have a love of something else. Maybe they are concerned about some environment in their community. Maybe they they have some very strong interests. Getting to know those members and finding out what their interests and skills are something that can be very helpful. And when you're using something of a member that's their passion, it is amazing the success you'll see out of it. Access your accessibility. Does your board, do you have forums? Do you engage? Does your board and your president, are they people that you are able to talk to and have conversations with? Every member should be able to know how their club is doing. So they have a strong communication cadence. That's just literally they are talking to their clubs on a regular basis. They're transparent. They let people know where their club's going. They have the chance to let people be involved. There are a lot of clubs that kind of things come out of the board, and this is where we're going, this is what we're doing, and maybe not, and maybe not what all the members want to do. So what you have here is the dynamic and meaningful service. Each club had signature projects. They had their fundraisers. They included community members. Heaven forbid, as Rotarians, we have attendance, which is not as big as it used to be, but we have concerns about money. It was brought up in the breakout session that sometimes new members are worried that everything's about money. Maybe it's nice to let the community involved and help them with your fundraisers, and maybe help with some of their the donations towards what you want to do in the community, as well as global grants. Ongoing active service. They always have a regular active service going throughout the year. And there may be another slide coming up on that as well. So out of their clubs, what you're seeing is 83% had a repeat fundraiser every year. Your club was known in your community by the fundraiser that they did. I know our club has a pretty particular fundraiser, and we own it. Having a repeat signature project, same thing. Let's create something we can do in our communities that we own, and then use public image to just make sure that people know that this is what Rotarians are doing in your community. Include your community members. This is a chance to find out what your community wants. We like to do a lot of things that we think we need to do, but we don't always involve our community. Let's get them involved with us. Good chance for new members, good chance for people to see what Rotary is doing. Hold one or more events to attract new members. This could be social. These are things that your club could do that will help, through the public image stage, know more about what your club's doing. So these clubs were ongoing and active. They had 4 more service projects per year. Some of them, 40% of them, had 10 or more projects per year. I actually know a community service project chair that is actually trying to do 1 a month. That is a very noble goal. But keep it easy. They don't have to be these massive projects. They can be something as simplistic as doing a fundraiser for sock rallies, going to Costco and buying sock for homeless people. Something, $100 worth of socks buys a lot of socks. They had a strong public image. These clubs just knew that public image was important. And so by having that public image, it was able for them to focus on member attraction. People wanted to be a part of their club. They used media tools. Right now, this is huge. Active use of media tools, 95% Facebook, 21% Instagram. 77% had either used Rotary or had their own website. or were related in a different type of media. One of the things that at the time the survey was done, which was not, they hadn't had a chance to measure it yet, was YouTube. YouTube is probably one of the fastest growing sources of media, social media right now. It's actually outpacing Facebook. And, you know, we just don't have numbers on it, but it is something that we are utilizing with meetings, with everything else. It is just another tool that we have to help. Using public to focus on member attraction, and 67% hold events to attract new members, 77% actually sponsor new members. They make it a point, every club member, and I can be guilty of this as well, is the fact that we're all ambassadors of our club. We should have a mindset, an intentional mindset, that we should be looking constantly about recruiting new members and where and how we can find those. Invite community members to your project, create a project, and let's see if we can get some people from our community involved. So diversity, equality, equity, and inclusion. This is just a great slide to kind of highlight just how diverse we are as Rotarians, whether it's our education, our status, our recreational habits. These are just, even our Rotary experiences, talking to some of these people that have been to Ecuador, to Sierra Leone, or Africa, which is in Africa, but around the world, is just amazing. So what happens is with DEI and Rotary, these clubs have made it an intentional focus. The club reflects their community. If you're in a community that has a higher, let's just say you're in a place that maybe has a 35% demographic of Hispanics, how does your club stack up against that? Is that maybe an area of focus you might want to think about? Again, if they're an active part of your community, you really want to understand and talk to people that can help you be have a gain of relevance in your community. And they create a welcoming environment. This is all about your club. This is they create clubs where people walk in the door and they feel welcomed. So here are the tools. What tools do we have? Oh, wow, there's that Vibrant Club again. Just a great tool, Club Health Check. These are all things that can be found in the Learning Center. And if you see these things, please do not hesitate to email me, and I will make sure that they get available to you. So we're going to go into a breakout session, but wait a minute. We're missing something here. So we're going to talk about, we're going to go into our last breakout session, and what we're going to talk about is going to be your observations. What can you do from best practices to help keep members engaged in your club, whether it is doing a vocational, and how would you champion these ideas? So the idea is exactly the same as the two. I'll try to make sure that I only push the button once instead of 3 times. And we'll get you into some breakout sessions. It's the last one. We'll talk about engagement, and we'll close it from there. As soon as I remember where we are. Okay. Why am I not getting out of this thing? There we are. Gary, you're just not getting a request to join a breakout session?
I know.
Okay, well, I'm sure it's just your language. That's it, buddy. Well, we're going to have our own. David's here. David's probably got one of the best advantages of our best clubs when it comes to engagement. So I'd love to get some of his opinions, but what are the things that you feel are working in your club when it comes to engaging your members? What do you think? None?
I'm sorry, I thought you were asking Dave that.
Dave, you still there?
I'm here.
Perfect. Dave, what did you think? What have you got? What are you guys doing down there in Port Orford that's working?
Well, we have a captive audience. There's not a whole lot of other things to do here other than Rotary as a service club. There used to be all kinds of service activities. Now Rotary is the one that has endured. We have 16 past presidents still actively engaged. Every one of them understands that they're a mentor and that they take people. A new member probably has 3 or 4 or 5 mentors by the time they become a truly active, engaged member. So we have our own building, thanks to Mike Hewitt. We have our own executive chef, and she's really good. And we have succession planning for 5 years out. Very important thing. When I was AG, the first thing that would start to falter in a club would be their succession planning. So if you have succession planning, you know what your leadership is ahead, and you prepare for that. You gather new members around that leader to help them do the best job they can for them. And it's an integrated process. Takes a lot of people to do it, but we've got some really good folks that do it day in and day out.
Hey, David, how big is your club?
Well, when I was president, there were 51. Right now, there's 43. It's a town of 1,100 people. So we have 5% of our population as Rotarians.
Yeah, that's a pretty high number. Normally we try to see about 1% of your population, and depending on that population, that can vary. So 5% is admirable. Jerry, what's your club doing that you like that they're doing from an engagement standpoint?
You know, I mentioned in the last breakout, Bruce, about this emerging Rotarian group.
Mm-hmm.
And I was it's been going on for 2.5 years, and I was initially not really optimistic about it because I felt like, you know, it was taking new members, and instead of integrating them into the club, was giving them their own little cohort. And I didn't think it would work very well, but it actually has given new members a chance to meet and know well people who are in their same position and work out strategies for how to deal with the rest of the club. You know, how to answer questions that they wouldn't feel comfortable asking to the entire club forum. And then, you know, after a year, they sort of graduate out into the rest of the club, and we're into, you know, the first full second year and having a new cohort with few returning members to stick on, and it seems to be working well. And we actually encourage them to look for projects to do either on their own, or always they can join a larger club project. But they decided to take the action grant last year and do a small project on their own, another, you know, fellowship opportunity and social opportunity for them. And they have mentors from the larger club that participate with them. So I mean, that's the latest thing we've been doing. And, I think it's working well, and it's given it, like I said to you, it's given me insight into some of the thinkings of folks that are joining, and as new members, what we're barraging them with. That is kind of a matter of course for people who have been in the club for a while, but kind of, you know, opened my eyes as to the need to look at how we operate from a different perspective.
No, that's some great comments. I agree. I think, you know, when we first start, we have so much. I mean, pets is always that way. You look at pets and you're handed stuff, and a lot of stuff that you are discussed kind of stays in Seattle when you make it back to your club, and you kind of have this wide-eyed look, and you're like, okay, where'd that come from? So what do you think you can improve on? What would you like to see your club do in the next 6 months to a year that you think would be beneficial?
Well, you know, we have always struggled with the 80-20 rule. And it seems like no matter how big our club was, we always had this group of folks who were totally engaged, and a larger group that really likes to come to lunch. They're happy to pay their dues, but getting people involved in our projects has always been a bit of a struggle. I'd like to see that improve. I'd like to see our recruitment work a little bit better. We're having a recruitment event November 2nd, but it was only announced a week and a half ago. They're asking every club member, you know, everybody to bring a potential new member, and that seems like a little bit of a short timeline for me. So I think we're having leadership, meaning me, is not being engaged enough with what they're doing. And geez, can't think of anything offhand. I did like the couple of slides in the last segment, Bruce, that, you know, make sure to thank your people for being there. I've just you know, we certainly appreciate everybody that comes, but I think I need to add at the end of when we close out every meeting, you know, a simple thank you all for being here. We appreciate it.
Well, I had to eliminate a whole
Time well
section on the implied thank you, and it bothers me just to make it fit in a 2-hour process. I mean, we could this is a 4-hour program.
Right.
And it's already, to me, it's a huge ask to have you guys here for 2 hours. So thank you very much. Very, very much for that. I have closed the room, so we should be getting some people back here pretty quick. We've got about 5 minutes to do some closing comments and get some things from other people. And then we're going to call it a day. We got about 23 seconds before we're going to have a lot of friends show up.
Bruce, can I ask you one quick question?
Sure.
Do you have a sense of how people get their club out into the community? I mean, we do Facebook, Instagram, but we don't seem to be able to get like media to respond to announcements of activities and things like that.
For time, Jerry, I'm gonna answer that directly in an email straight to you. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We have about 5 minutes for some closing comments, and then we are going to thank a lot of people, and then we're going to get everybody back into their Saturdays where they belong. Except for Angela, we're going to have a 2-hour meeting, post meeting. Angela's going to volunteer for that. Anyway, thank you guys very, very much. Chris, do you want to see if we can do a question and answer period we can keep it into 5 minutes so we can get some meetings going? Is she back yet?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, I was muted. So easy to get Rotarians to talk for only 5 minutes, and then I had to be the one that cuts them off. I do want to point out in the chat that Angela posted some podcasts. So there you go. Keep
you know
that
the
link.
rules. Just pick on the people you like.
No, I'm going to pick on the people that had their hands up first. That makes it really easy. And then if I run out of that, then I'll pick on Wendy. No. Just seeing if she's awake.
Okay.
Bruce Reese.
Yes. Am I there now?
You
are. Yep. Now you're not.
I'm not.
There you go.
All right, move the mouse. Well, thank you very much for letting me attend today. We talked about a lot of really good things, but Jay from Springfield brought up a great idea that in their club, they have lots of activities and they don't expect everybody to do them all. And I think that was one of the things that's really important. They have lots of ideas and they let their members run with them, but they don't expect 100% participation. That's what we got out of it.
Good. Larry, do you have a quick recap?
Yes, let me tie to what was just said, and that is being specific about inviting longtime Rotarians, non-Rotarians, lots of activities, and not everything is going to appeal to everyone. The other point that I'd like to make, and I'll be quiet, is it was pointed out that it takes to change the ethnic composition and the demographics of your club takes a specific effort, and change happens over time. It won't happen overnight. And I think that's true for not only diversity, but also gender and also financial ability to be a Rotarian.
Good
Thanks.
point. Peggy, you want to unmute yourself?
Okay, we talked about, again, attrition and how many of us are older clubs with many retired and elderly people. And so we can't really do anything about those that pass away or move away. So we need to really be methodical and active and getting new members, because we are going to lose members, even if we're the most vibrant club in the world. And Angela showed us how to get reports to run reasons for why people leave the club. And then we talked about how important it is, the diversity issue, because some people really are outgoing and go out, and everybody they see they invite to Rotary, and they're so enthusiastic, and it's really pays off for them. And other people just don't have that, their strengths are somewhere else. So diversity is really important. And then another thing we talked about is having an in to learn about community projects and service projects, and making sure the community knows that we are there for service and they can come to us for service. So I think that was it.
Okay, well, Bruce, I better turn it over to you because you have
Okay.
about 2 seconds.
Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for your time. It was great to see the amount of people and the passion with your comments, putting membership as #1 in Rotary, because I think that is literally, members are the fabric of Rotary. Everything happens at the ground level. Thank you for attending Membership in a Box, which I think should be actually maybe relabeled Membership in a Hurry. Thanks for putting up with some of ours. One of the things we can't practice very well is moving in and out of breakout sessions. So I really do appreciate you bearing your patience with me as we just push every button on the screen until something works the way we want it to. In the meantime, we do have recordings of this as well as the PowerPoint presentation. There was a whole section that I had to pull out in order to get us into the time we are now. And we will maybe later put something together where we can make it a little shorter and drill down and get some a little bit more understanding of just sometimes it's called the informal thank you and how we thank our members in ways that we don't even think about. And I really, it's a shame I wasn't able to include it today. Regardless of that, do we have any last questions before we close this session? We have, in fact, one of my, which really bothers me because one of my power presentation, which is missing, was our email addresses. So if you can find either Chris or I'd love to get your comments. I have, believe it or not, I have no ego, so be brutal. We can't learn if we don't hear how we can fix and change and make things better. So we definitely want to enhance every time that we have these meetings, both smoother as well as content. In the meantime, I really just want to thank all of you for being here and your focus in Rotary. Thank you very much. I'm done.
Hey, Bruce, will this recording or will the slide deck be made available?
They were for a simple payment of $19.95 towards the VRF. We will be able to make it available. But yes, we can.
Okay.
Bruce, I have Bruce, I have a suggestion for the AGs.
You bet.
It might be prudent for the AGs to get all the committee chairs of all the clubs within their area to get together and talk about membership, because I know one of our clubs in our area is down to 15 members, and maybe the other clubs can help them. So that might be something that
I think that's a great idea. Angela, do you have something to add?
There's a couple people that were private messaging me with this question, so I thought I'd just answer it for the group. When you sign into My Rotary and you click on Knowledge and Resources, you can click on Club and District Administration. I hope you know how to get to the reports, but this is just how you get to the reports. When you get to the reports section under membership reports, there's something called the club membership profile. That is my favorite report. And yes, I have a favorite report. But at the very bottom of that report is the reasons why people leave. I do always give this caveat because there's a lot of people that get entered into personal or miscellaneous. But if you're looking to see like how many people left because they died, or how many people left because they moved or they changed clubs, like that is really going to be able to tell you. But it doesn't really tell you the story of, did somebody say something mean to me? Personal. Did there were not community service opportunities? Miscellaneous. So it doesn't give that information quite as much as I'd like, but it's got a lot of really interesting information on there for you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Despite the fact that I just put my email in the chat, those of you that you probably had about 437 emails from me already this month. So you should have it at the top of your mind, knowing exactly how to get a hold of me. But regardless of that, email me. I will make sure you get a recording when it's available, as well as the PowerPoint presentation, which may have some additional slides in there. But with that, I'm going to close the meeting unless we have some more people interested in wanting to know something. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for giving us a good part of your Saturday.
All right. Take care.